Continuing now on Newsmax Prime, Presidential Press Secretary Josh Earnest said earlier today the White House believes FBI Director James Comey is a man of integrity and that he's not trying to influence the election. But what impact has Hillary's email scandal had on the men and women of the FBI? And what was behind the reopening of that investigation despite considerable pushback against Director Comey? Former Assistant FBI Director Ron Hosko joined me earlier today on America Talks Live, and I asked him about that very topic and what it all means to him. It's tonight's Prime Playback.
Tells me a couple things. First, this case is certainly different than a lot of others. And it's different not just because it involves Hillary Clinton, leading presidential candidate, wife of the former president, but the profile of this case at the time makes it different. That's, I think, just a reality. And you're absolutely right. By and large, the FBI has nothing to say about pending investigations, particularly when we're talking about what feels like corruption, even though they looked at this as more of an espionage type of a case. The FBI stays mute on it. And so I think that the director was caught up in this direction, this path that he started out on after Loretta Lynch took her meeting with Bill Clinton and gave voice to those who said politics will drive the result. Comey stepped up. He committed to this unusual, extraordinary transparency with Congress, and now he felt bound, duty-bound, to tell Congress something significant just changed.
And that whole situation for Loretta Lynch to meet with Bill Clinton on the tarmac, again, as Lee would put it, my old stomping grounds out at Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix, a meeting without precedent, and we're getting reports that General Lynch was trying to lean on Director Comey, that he was alerted to the existence of these emails, and she was trying to persuade him basically to step back from this. What have you heard as to the veracity of that report?
Well, I've heard that senior officials at Department of Justice did communicate with the director their view on it, which was to not write this letter to Congress, and that the director held a meeting with some of his senior advisors, and then he decided to go forward in this direction. I do think that this director, not that he doesn't have the support of others in FBI headquarters, but I think this is a path that he is deciding the right steps to take, at the end of the day, using his own judgments. He listens to others, he takes in their counsel. And keep in mind, as we've both just said, this is the very same Attorney General whose judgment led her to take a meeting with Bill Clinton.
I've got to ask this question. There are other reports that senior agents were lining up to resign from the Bureau based on what happened in July. Can you shed any light on that? Do you know if that is in fact accurate? Of course, the notion being that the director felt some pressure from within the ranks to reconsider where he stood. In your mind, was that part of the factor or just the evidence on hand? And we've got about a minute, Ron.
Yeah, JD, to my knowledge, and I stay fairly close with former coworkers, there is no truth to that. People leave the FBI typically at the end of a 25 or 30-year career like I did. They need to go make some money because their kids are going into college, and it's their time to retire. I know there's a published report from a writer up in New York suggesting that one of the senior executives involved in the case retired or left the FBI for just that reason. The person he's talking about is a friend of mine. He left for the reason I just described. Kids going into college debt coming at him, and a good job offer.
A good job offer, says Ron Hosko, now president of the Law Enforcement Legal